But we're going to call it to order. I don't know that the president will be here, but when the vice president gets here, she will take over. So at 7:12, we are officially calling this meeting to get in order. And have you all had a chance to look at your minutes? They were emailed out. Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
If not, will you take a look at them now and see if you have any changes to make, other than Amy was not here last time. If I have a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I'm also secretary, so bear with me. Okay, so now we will go to public comment. That's what's on the agenda. Okay, well, we'll do the finance report next, and then we'll go to public comment. General account, there's $41,437.06. Full account, $3,391.44. Everybody should have a copy of it unless you want me to read all of it. And I better not, thank you. Anyone have any questions on the finances? Okay, if not.
Shirts for the maintenance, did they get them?
What is it?
The maintenance, shirts for maintenance?
Yes.
Did they get them after
Did
winter?
Yeah. We got them from Color Wheel Graphics out here in town for them to wear when we're, well, now they've got enough to make them work and wear when we got stuff going on so people know who they are.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion of approval? Finance report. Any second? Eugene? All in favor? Okay, so we have Summersville Little League here for public comment. Who is speaking for a Little League?
Well, the girls will speak.
I'll speak.
Will you just,
Yes, I'm Ashley Bogus, and I'm on the Summersville Little League Board, here with several other members. We wanted to talk, we're a relatively new board this past year, and so we're trying to make some needed changes that we've seen as far as use of the facility and our contract. So one of the main things we were looking at is, as far as the league's equipment for concession, and then any other damages to the fields, we had to make sure that that was covered in our contract during our lease. And then
during our off season.
And then what happens with that during our off season?
he's in.
he's here.
Yeah, he just went that way.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So we wanted to make sure that we're covered for any repairs, damages to both the fields and then as well as our equipment and everything like that in the concession stand during our lease. And I think we are when we looked at our contract.
Okay.
But then also in the off season, because I know in the past, in previous years, all of the concession equipment was just still kept in the concession stand. And from our experience this past year, other organizations that come in and use the concession, they've used the league's equipment. We've had to replace like the popcorn machine and things like that because of damage or it being absolutely filthy and not have been cleaned and that sort of thing, or the whole area in general. So we wanted to know exactly what we were covered in the off season for. Should we move all of our stuff out of concession? That's what we did this time because we weren't sure. We kind of stored everything in our building. But going forward, is that something we still need to do? We just don't want to incur any expenses the league doesn't for damages to our stuff.
Sadly, do you have the answer to that? Who
I
has
don't-
the answer to that?
We did move it all out this time.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of
What about the stove and
Years-
stuff? Like, we bought the stove, right?
Stove and refrigerator, all of that.
We bought all that stuff.
We had just
Still
over
in there.
trailers.
What do you all have in there?
Years ago, it seemed like that there was like a security deposit on all fields,
Yeah.
but I haven't noticed it in any of them lately. Concession stand,
That's what we wondered if we needed to have a security deposit put in our contract, that if we leave all of our equipment in the concession stand, if anybody uses it, that person needs to pay a security, that organization needs to pay a security deposit.
yeah, or be responsible for
Is
reporting.
that
But
reasonable?
you'll have
If we can
a
have a
agreement with them.
contract.
You all write out agreement with them, whoever it is.
Right.
And
And a cleaning, we also talked about a cleaning
But it's there for 7 days.
fee, because when we went in there, you know, it was absolutely filthy, we spent hours cleaning.
Someone would have to inspect it then after
Right.
the
And
other
we'd be
organization
willing.
used it.
Right.
well, could they not,
Well, I think you all would have to do that because it's your building.
It would be between the park contract and that
Whoever
other,
rents
Yeah.
it.
the other organization, that would have to be in there about a security deposit for,
Our equipment, the Little League's equipment in that building. Does that make sense? 'Cause we can't have an agreement on something you all
Right.
own.
well, your
We-
equipment in there though.
Yeah, that's what you and I spoke of the last. So what we need to do is have our own contract, correct? To cover everything that is inside of it. Of course, the only things left in is the fridge, stove, several other things. We took out coffee machines, popcorn machines, stuff like that, it's easy to be broken. But as Little League, if you come into it as being used, and you come into it next year and you, you leave it where you think it's okay, and you gotta buy a refrigerator right out the gate, is what we're speaking of, you see? So it'll be in our favor just to do our own contract, and do we need to let you all look over it before we do that, or do we just?
Now, you saying the contract between you and whoever rents the fields?
No, Phil, they are talking about the concession stand
So anybody that uses a concession stand,
in
the
their,
contract between you and them?
To cover the equipment in.
Their
concession
equipment.
stand, correct.
So how would that work, like, would you, well,
present it along with your own lease between you and that organization, along with our contract? See, does that make sense?
Just add it to
We could be
our
able to
lease.
Yeah, you guys have a set one that we just add to the bottom of ours.
Okay.
An amendment or some sort.
amendment or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that'd be the only way you could do it, wouldn't
Be the easiest.
it? Yeah.
So it's easy for us to, we need to get a contract written up, and you all go over and hand it to the next person choosing the facilities.
And make sure they don't, if they tear it up, they're responsible for it.
Yeah.
Now, when you're saying inspecting it after the fact, you're saying the park do it, Little League do it?
You all being the neutral party would be,
The best,
probably be the best. That way, there's no accusations between.
or we could go along with, you know,
Or a park board member.
I mean, how regular does this happen, Sally? I'm not even
Not
sure.
very regular.
So
That's
it's
what we were talking about.
under 10 times a year?
because There was, as far as I can remember, there's just one or two that uses concession stand for tournaments or whatever. Most people don't.
Don't you at the fair go with Sally? And
We
stay
do a
with Sally?
walkthrough before and a walkthrough after.
So maybe the manager and the Little League representative, maybe. You still have your neutral party, but you all know what you got, you, what shape it's in, stuff like that.
Yeah, because I don't know what you have.
What do you all want? I mean, what do you
I
think
agree
is
with
fair? I mean,
yeah, I think
that's
that would
super.
work.
We more or less want to be able to secure our stuff and hold anybody accountable who would damage it, so we don't have to absorb the cost of repairing and replacing.
right.
Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's-
That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. But the walkthroughs make a big difference.
Mhm.
And if someone rents the ball fields, I was telling them, I remember years and years ago, there used to be a security deposit. There's not one now.
There's not? Okay.
Not that I know of, I haven't seen any.
You know what it used to be?
That was a long time ago.
You got a recommendation?
don't know, what do you think?
Because I mean, you know, we've got Mitchell on staff, he knows fields, we don't care to send him out to fix stuff whenever it happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we run into this year, you see.
Right.
Yeah.
Next to the names.
I mean, oh, yeah. I think
So
that's a
it'd
good
be a
idea.
separate one, just put a lot of money up fields and do one for concession. You saying there was one for the fields?
It seemed like there was a long time ago.
Yeah, there was.
Like a security deposit if anybody rented a ball field.
Okay.
So
We need
they-
a contract in general for the fields, or one separate for concession, one separate for fields.
I think the fields would be,
They go by contract now on the fields, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just need to add security deposit to that and to, well, I guess to that same lease, we need to add provisions of concession. It'll just be an option if they want to use it or not, for an additional charge.
As far as an amount, I don't know. I mean, concession would be different than field.
Well, we put a lot of time, a lot of money into
Oh, you're
this
telling
deal,
me.
you know, we need
Yeah.
to protect these for these kids.
Right.
If you're renting out the concession stand just yet, how much do you charge to rent it out?
We don't, the
We
building
don't
is
rent
not
it.
ours, so we don't,
We have a season.
yeah, when it's
Can't
not,
base it on that then.
But then too, you have to look, I'm gonna be wrong, it's a public park. You can't stop people from playing on fields. Because
Yeah.
not, I mean, a lot of people that play don't come to me and say, hey, can I rent it, can I play on it? No, so I don't know how you go about that either.
we can't stop people from getting on the fields, but they have to have a key to get in the,
Right,
you know, our
right.
concessions, so that's really
Right.
the only place we can stop, or actually,
And I can
ask
remember
for
renting their
security.
concessions
But,
at
I
one
mean,
time when somebody.
the manager is supposed to take care of that, I mean, as far as somebody tearing up the field.
and I don't think.
If they tear up the field, I mean,
Didn't
she's the
soccer
one
years
supposed
ago
to.
use it, but they don't even use
well,
it
it,
anymore.
and our lease says in our off-season that the commission will be responsible for any damage done to the fields, right?
The park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or, yeah, the park,
In the off-season.
in the
Yeah.
off-season.
Okay.
so that's why, you know, she can take care of the field whenever somebody rents them, or like I say, and if they tear them up, mud, or, you know, playing on a mud field, or tearing them up, I mean, that tears them up.
Like I have a reunion that wanted to rent a softball field this weekend. And I told them if it was still wet or rained the day before, then they weren't allowed on the field. And they didn't have a problem.
What type of damages have you guys seen in the fields before? You think major that can't be raked and shoveled and cleaned up a bit, or?
Well, the previous, a couple years ago, this field over here was torn off pieces from vehicles. I mean, it was 2 or 3 weeks fixing it. And then since we've been on this, I've been on for 5 or 6 years, but it's mostly just foot traffic, where it's muddy, because when you step on it, you sink that deep, and then it dries out, it's bad.
Which the new dirt helps on that.
Yeah.
The base layers and stuff like that, and it still gets beat up some.
I think the biggest thing like this year with that soccer tournament and it poured the rain, we probably should have, instead of taking the fence down, just taken it and blocked off the infield, because Mitchell worked with that whole next, trying to, on parts, you know, times trying to get those fields, because they were, and I mean, you can't, it's not like they purposely vandalized, it's just, it is what it is, but, yeah.
And obviously, before the soccer tournament, all the coaches were asked, please tell your parents to stay off the field. And they really Little League field, like, we should have bought the fences to the Little League field and the softball field. People got on those for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It was very frustrating. Being.
So a deposit for security for concession, what'd you say, Brandon, 500?
Awesome, but
Oh. So we need a security deposit for concession in the off-season.
For your equipment,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you are.
We're clean fees. The amount of time we spent cleaning this time.
Thick and density.
So it was a few years back when I was in it.
Yeah, we just need to get a number, just something to cover, is all you gotta do.
$250.
What'd you say, 250?
Whatever.
Security deposits, that was what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of.
On the concession stand, I think it's reasonable.
$250.
Yeah.
I don't know
What
what
do
to
you think
say.
about a security deposit on the
The
field?
field is your guys' responsibility.
But the field outside of their outside their.
Well, yeah, right, it's already our problem, so we can just take care of it.
How
We
much
can-
does it work? How much does it cost to send this up there for a whole day or two?
Yeah. That's $5.
Huh?
Couple $100.
$500 or something? He's gonna spend 2 days working on it.
Yeah,
2 days he's not working on it.
right. That's really expensive. Well, maybe
Are you
just,
gonna ask them to put that security deposit down, or just let them know that's how much they're responsible for it if they mess it up?
they'd have to put it down, that's the only way you can
Put
collect
it down ahead of time, that's security
Yeah.
deposit. Deposit.
At time of rental.
And then they get it back?
Right, satisfactory
Yeah,
walkthrough, they
it's
don't buy it.
Do walkthroughs, and if it's fine, yes.
I mean, if we tear up something, then that makes it. I mean, that's,
I just do 250 on the field, that benefits the park, and then the 250 on the concession would benefit them if they're fine. In the off-season.
but then they'd get her back with everything.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So I can take care of the walkthrough on the field, and the concession, Little League, and
Like we got a Pepsi machine in there, the cooler, and it's not ours.
Right.
But we're responsible for it.
You're liable.
It's expensive. We may have to buy one.
Can you not get them free? Can you get them free if you get to buy so many?
Now you get to use them for free. You get to use it for free.
don't mess them up.
But if anything happens to it, you're
If you get
responsible.
so many, well, they used to be.
Yeah.
We would.
You probably don't get 10 anymore, something like that.
How many refrigerators do you guys have?
There's a deep freeze, a refrigerator, and then there's a Pepsi
Okay,
cooler.
it's not a whole bunch, like 5 or 6 or 7 or anything like that.
No, there's three. He said how many refrigerators?
Well, let's say, grab a refrigerator, cable lock them shut or something, and, you know, I mean, leave one
We had a
available.
couple other things we need to talk about. I was telling them we had a couple other things we need to talk about.
Sort of an overlapping topic is this past season for the June lease, we overlapped with another group for our contract for the use of the fields. So we still had all-stars going on, and our all-stars needed to have primary use of the fields, so there was some overlap of use there. So as far as going forward for next year, we need a resolution for that,
Which we kind of talked about that.
right? And that's also kind of when I think some of the concession stuff is being used too, right? Kind of in that time frame
No,
as
a lot of
well.
stuff changed on us.
Yeah. Yeah, and also during that time, during the overlapping contract, our walks to the concession stand got changed. So we were prevented access from that. So there was a little bit of a challenge there that we need to avoid next year, for sure.
They locked, new lock on it.
They ended up giving us a key after a few days, so it was just maybe a misunderstanding.
It doesn't need
Did
to
she
happen
knew
again.
all this?
That doesn't need to happen again.
Did she know all that?
Yeah,
Did you know that?
I mean, yeah. We've talked about it a
I
little
mean, that's
bit.
what matters.
Yeah,
The
we've
board
talked
doesn't take
about
care of that kind of stuff. I mean, I think. Did it?
So what do you think the resolution for that would be?
What do you
Did you say you
propose?
already talked about it?
What are you proposing?
Like you and I spoke of, because this was during the boys was practicing, we spoke of nothing at 4 p.m.
Right.
consults.
Right. And that's
fine.
that works with
So
what they
that's
do
how the
normally.
leases will be written up next year? Like
Well, if
with
it
the
works, I
time?
mean, is that works for your all, and
We
they
don't
practice
practice
during the day?
We don't practice 5 after.
Yeah.
The issue was, we had a team up here, well, Chris's team, matter of fact, was up here at 5:30, and they tell us we can't use the field.
Right.
Oh my, and then the phone starts ringing, we get 9,000 phone calls, so well, we gotta do something, you know what I'm saying? Let's
Right.
get here. Stand here, these kids are standing.
I think after regular season, we'd agreed upon, after 4 during the week, it was
Yeah.
ours, and on the weekends, they could have it.
I mean, as long as that works with you all, I mean,
Yeah,
we'll need to check with the other group, but as far as I'm concerned, that makes sense to me.
it's for the kids, so.
Yeah.
We've only got so many fields, we're gonna have to share.
Oh, yeah.
And like with 4-H, can we get a certain boundaries what they need us so we can get one fields and change the boundaries, or change the gates or whatever. I think we put in some temporary
Yeah.
gates or something, they,
Well, like,
If we changed our fencing,
yeah, like I told them, they were gonna fence, it used to be to the bathroom.
I know, that's what we talked about.
It was. That way they could get in and use the bathroom and we could shut, lock the other side so they couldn't get through.
Yeah. So
And the
let's,
fence is gone.
So if we put a fence like from the bathrooms to the softball field, would we be able to use the softball field also?
Yeah, as long as the public access to the ground is basically past the fence, or the gate, is blocked off. So
You would need to-
I thought there was
You all-
no fencing behind the bathhouse,
Little League and
which
softball
it's
field
not.
and-
So that's where I was like, oh yeah, you can go in, no problem. But that still gives access to like the cabins and the bathhouse and everything like that. So yeah, if there's some fencing there, then
Do you all need access to those bathrooms?
not during the evening, during that time. The only time we actually use those bathrooms is like late at night when the kids go to the cabins, and then that's extra bathrooms for them to shower.
so where are you speaking of, like,
If we went from the bathrooms to the softball,
to the press box?
yeah.
Because that's your only bathrooms that you guys have to use with those bathhouses. So yeah,
Would-
so somehow.
You would have to do that, you'd also have to gate between softball and Little League too,
on that walkway.
on the wall.
Right.
Would that just be a gate or
Right,
something?
we can do that easy,
You'd have to gate
Yeah.
visitors.
and that works for your end too.
Yeah, as long as it just
Well, yeah,
cuts
for
off
extra, I
that
don't see a
public
problem, we can
access
do
from like
that.
the cabin and stuff like that. Not gonna work. You would still have kids wandering down.
Okay.
That'd be great then.
You still have the fence that you took down? I mean, it looks good, we can, no, we can get it.
Well,
I didn't realize
That's our
that
week.
fence was warm, we took it down.
Well, yeah, I thought we solved it when
I
you
thought
put
we
it back
solved it
up,
up.
or you did. Yeah, so I mean, that's just, we're all new here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're starting from ground zero again, so.
We're out the fence, I'll take care of that.
I just wanna ask you on the, I don't know what's called, there where they those shot fields, is that right?
Yes,
I think with high school, those shot put, maybe?
yes.
Well, I'm friends with Chris Wybear, and they're supposed to move that shot put out behind.
Well, I
Say,
understand
no
there.
So if they do that, I would like to put a t-ball field in that place.
Yeah, and want to be a closed campus, I understand.
Which you played this year back here.
That would be good.
Yeah.
We have a backstop, all we have to do is dress up the grass or dirt a little bit.
All
It should be a dry spot too, it'd be up a little bit.
Yeah, that doesn't hold water right there. The rest of it.
But he's gonna try and get it moved. I believe he's gonna try and get it moved this year, for sure, if he can. He said he needs about $2,500 to move. And the issue he run into was when they're playing ball, the parents are walking right through the caution tape and they're out there throwing a big old thing up there.
Well, we've had cars.
Does he approach the board, you have to get 2,500?
This is
The
too
board, or
bad.
I mean, what's his plan there?
He's going to approach, and I also told him that if we would do that, we would give him,
I think it's going better for us anyways, because people's park there,
I don't
and this
know where
gets
he's
to
looking,
the car,
yeah.
and they come to, and we've had to fix the car.
but the T-ball
But
is,
we should.
well, it's been a struggle for several years, really, because they just played in the grass. And I mean, everybody's seen it, grandparents, kids.
So who plays on that backfield that's already there?
Minor league, softball,
Senior league, little league, softball, and that, right? Okay. It's been a while.
Where was T-ball before that, before you moved back here?
It's cool in the grass. The very cool, really good.
Oh, that's right, I remember Trevor playing. I think it was Beerwood, yeah.
But I even get from parents who got, well, I got an older sibling here, and we gotta go down here to the summer memory stuff, you know?
Right.
And then they miss experience, like these Brandon, the little kids miss experience with their other siblings up here.
Now, you know, the board moves the shot put, you all, should we approve the T-ball moving there? I mean, does that come with a financial request? You all just gonna take care of it? What, you know, what are we looking at with that?
I think we just take care of it.
You already have the backstop, you said?
Yeah, we already got it.
Okay.
We already got the bases, we just need the property to let it all through kids to that place park.
We want to put
Where
the
is
shot
it?
put where?
Where the back corner of the scoreboard.
Okay, in that.
Well, yeah.
Back there behind the
Yeah,
stadium
that'd be
somewhere.
great there.
If they allow it. I don't know if they'll allow it, but he asked me about it. He said he wanted to.
I'll call Stump on that, because he's now over all that. I'll call him, talk to him.
Yeah.
Because we'll wanna make sure we put that in a good spot for the park too.
That resolved.
That'd be a great spot for it.
She
Do
just.
we want to talk about moving the bleachers or did you already?
Oh, yeah.
Our biggest problem is the parents.
There's a lot of them.
Forever and
A
ever.
lot of parents in the little league, like 1,000.
Before we shift gears, should we make a motion on that? And that way they can get started? When, are you guys gonna do this ASAP, or would that be next spring with T-ball field, or? Gotta wait on the.
He's gotta move first.
Yeah, we
But I
gotta
mean,
wait.
pending that, then they'd have to arrange if it moved, or?
Yeah, if we do it, it'll be next season coming up.
Okay, so you have plenty of time.
So you got some time?
Okay.
Okay.
That's different.
But I'm gonna call Stump and talk to him.
But
about
if we
this
find
other
out that
stuff.
if they allow it, then, you know, if we can get on and get it done.
Yeah. I don't think a month will kill you in that, really.
Oh, no.
Let me talk to him, because I gotta talk to him about parking lot stuff and everything else, and then
Yeah.
I can tell you in the next meeting.
That'll work.
But honestly, I'd be fine with it.
I know the board has
It
had
doesn't affect
issue.
anything else.
The board has had issue with it there anyways, because I know a couple of times the kids have thrown a discus and hit a car parked there during the
Yeah.
game. And then they've approached us and had us to pay for damages or whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good idea to move it anyways for the board.
Sure. And then the bleachers.
Yep. I'd like to move the bleachers down.
Away from the home plate.
Wait.
Yeah.
Away from the playing field, moving on the other side of the dugouts.
Where's that at?
That way our umpires
Little league
don't fear
field.
parents'
Little league
comments.
baseball.
Not really
There's-
baseball.
There's a real need to protect our umpires
We've
and
lost a lot of
our
umpires.
teams
Oh, I
and our
know that.
coaches.
Oh, I know.
I've heard stories.
Yeah.
We'll take like that blue stuff we got on the fence, block that whole area where you can't even see through, they
Once
can't
I'm wet.
park at the umpires.
Yeah, we've
Move
had
the
Is that
some
like
quit
Little
this year
League?
because
Acceptable?
the parents just sat right there.
Actually, if you go to an all-star game, that's the way it is.
Yeah,
Really? Also
they're
just-
not even allowed in that area.
You
And
said-
there's a reason for that,
Yeah,
that exact reason.
yeah.
Well, or
But-
Is that on all
line
fields?
belt or something there.
All of them, but
have
Well,
blue-
that's
all the
what
way
we're
to-
talking about doing, moving the bleachers and putting that blue stuff up, so
I mean, you have to leave the ones that are senior league bleachers, there's no place to put them.
No place to put them. And they're far enough from the umpires, they really don't bother.
That's the field, this one.
you know, right here.
That's
There's
the
no
little
room
league
on the
field, right?
others.
Yeah.
But can you not put a mine belt or something up there so far? I mean,
That blue looked better.
Yeah.
or
Just move the
whatever.
bleachers on the other end of the dugouts. That's where the fans sit now, sit right there behind the umpire.
Well, I know what you're talking about.
Would you?
Would it be okay if we poured concrete pad, set the bleachers? Or is that-
That's what I would prefer.
Yeah.
At least the ones for the league,
Uh-huh.
the aluminum ones are not as bad, they seem to spread the weight, and don't sink as bad.
Right.
But if you'd rather those be on concrete, we can try to do that also.
That'd be
And
the
then what about
best.
the concrete pads where they have it tore up too?
Just leave it,
It'd be good for seating.
Which concrete?
Or
Well,
The little leagues?
the bleachers are sitting on the concrete.
It's kind of sunk down, I would think you could just.
Yeah, I don't look great. I was
Cover
walking
it.
through the other day.
maybe an area for
After
tables.
you put the bleachers, you want to put the blue fencing up there to keep.
I thought we blew in pipe.
When we went to All-Stars, every field we went to an All-Stars was like that, the thing set out here, there's somebody jumping on the umpires. Very sad.
You can't hear anybody's mouth run.
Is there room to move the bleachers here, down that way?
That's what I was thinking.
Not
Get 'em-
senior
get 'em to
league,
fit?
right?
Not on senior league.
Okay.
The two smaller fields you can
We hope this will help our
Well,
efforts.
this year's
to
not
get
too
it
bad
done.
because they're like
Yes.
that.
Right.
use. You can ask Mitch,
We
he'll tell
retired
you
them
about
a
it.
little bit.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, I've heard some stories. Everybody take your money.
Now, I don't see a problem with moving the fence screen, the concrete work, stuff like that. I mean, what do you think about it?
We were trying to get, extreme concrete, Nathan Richardson, somebody to come in and get some quotes. Or volunteer his time, and if we pay for concrete, whatever. Or somehow share, I don't know how it's supposed to work.
I'm gonna do it this myself. So,
I think it'll
A lot
help
of
things
times,
a
the
lot.
little league, people will come and do stuff, then you'll see a big sign out there.
Shows
And
up.
that's when they'll come up.
Sometimes it works like
Yeah.
that, sometimes not.
Especially these newer companies, they come in and advertise it like, was a Spencer. Well, I only know what it was.
Advertising work, good deal.
you got a sign? Is that?
Well, I think that's a good idea, moving them bleachers.
I mean, what I'd recommend to the board is approving them the ability to move the bleachers, put up the windscreens as long as it meets Little League regulation, like you say it does. And, the expense of the concrete, no financial commitment this time, but not leave it off the table. If someone wants to make that motion, I can.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
We'll find out.
First thing, put it on record.
So that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those against, motion does carry. At least you can get started and see what you got ahead of you.
And the only other topic, Josh, was invoices. That was our last
Let's
thing.
just,
And then we'll leave you alone.
We pay the power bill year-round. And while we're in season, it's usually $490, $423, $389, and towards the end, it was $223. Off-season, we're still paying $167, $158, $141. And this, they turn the lights on for football games, for parking, and for things, and we're paying at Little League.
Do they pay you any?
Nothing.
Now, I thought we already
I thought they never
was supposed to, my understanding, that was supposed to have been put in the commission, in the park commission's name, and that you all only pay in season.
That's what we would
So
love
that's not
happen.
happening.
That's not happening.
I thought that's in fact, that I think we've already voted.
Do they not have an agreement with the school board to turn the
Yeah.
lights on for the
They-
parking and football games? I mean, I heard it did, but I don't know if they did or not.
Since this was my 6th season, and I've been treasurer every year, I was told there wasn't, we just pay it, it's in good standings, kind of thing, is what a former president told me my first year. Because I just couldn't fathom why we're paying it all year for other people, we're not using it. And Little League doesn't have, all that extra money, we're nonprofit to be paying power bill 12 months out a year. So, we would love to see it be put in the park's name and then us be invoiced each month, or, we come and pay it during our time.
Little League shouldn't be paying that in off-season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a user fee, like when Robbie would hold a tournament or someone else would come up, there was like a $50 user fee. But that doesn't cover the football fields and games and all that. And I understand why they turn it on for the fields, but it shouldn't be our
Somebody's paying the bill
responsibility.
for that.
Yeah.
And right now, it's the Little League.
Because they're all on there for football games.
And I'm sure it does help, because it's black up here. They probably, for help, the parking and people walking their cars, and someone said it even helps with vision on the field. I don't know.
but,
On the football game?
Yeah.
yeah.
When they go to the park commission's name, I got a conversation to have with somebody about that, but
Well, you talk to.
we'll figure that out. You all won't have to.
The Veterans Day works every
Who's
day.
turning them on?
They bet.
Who's turning them on?
Some?
They're on for middle
Yeah,
school
he just brought
games
it
and
on.
high school.
But I mean, somebody's gotta have a key or code to get in there and turn it on.
I don't, Kyrie or Tyler, somebody used to.
I don't know who had a key or
They
who
turn
who
them on.
they've always done it. We changed the locks this year and it hasn't happened yet because it's not football
Fence
season.
Irish.
Yeah.
When I was here the last time.
But you can,
You lock them just now,
Go in there.
but still, there's like, even with football,
Who?
Yeah,
it was still $93.
He would just win.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I thought they was taking, paying for it.
Right. If they'll pay for it, that's fine.
Right.
So, when your season is over and your contract's up, if we put this over in our name until your contract comes up the next year, that would
Do you
suffice.
want,
Yeah, like,
do you want to switch it back to yours, or you want to just leave it in ours?
I would prefer it because, well, and I was told too, because I said the switching back and forth, someone said there's disconnection fees or
Right, it needs
this
to
and
go in one
that.
person's
It
name.
needs to stay in one person's name and then you invoice me
Right.
if
For
I'm
the
the
months of their
treasurer.
contract, and the same with Rob in the months of his
Read it and then
contract.
read it when you're done.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying.
And in June or whenever the overlap is, we just have to figure that out,
Yeah.
prorated.
Because for the bill that was through July, we weren't using as much. It was only 233 versus 490, so. And it's probably only been used, besides us, those first 2 weeks for All-Stars. I don't even know if Robbie uses them for his
He did
tournament.
this last time.
Because it's during the day, so I don't even know if anybody else has used them. That was all just for our All-Stars, so. Yeah. And I have made it, because last year there was with the dumpster here, the dumpster over by the field is in our name and we get invoiced per dump. And last year when I called Holly to start it back up, there was a balance not paid, but it was out of our contract. And someone called and authorized it on our behalf, and it wasn't anyone on our link. So, as of right now, that dumpster is not to be dumped unless authorized by me. So,
They can put a lock on it too.
I told them to lock it, but they don't really want trash thrown, but I talked to her again today just to make sure that we don't run into that, because they just swallowed the bill and said, we're not making you all pay for it, you didn't use it, it's out of your contract, but.
Why can't that be the same as the power bill?
Well, that's what I was gonna already say. Yeah, I mean, the park just assumed that as well, and then the month they use it.
Yeah.
It's only used.
There's a whole
right?
big section in our lease
It's only
about
used for them, I
that, about the dumpster.
You guys don't want to use it?
So what's the
Tournaments
lease saying
and
it's supposed to be
soccer
part of this
used
thing?
it,
No, the lease
like there were
says
other
Little league.
organizations that used it, and
Cause they get.
we had to
bought
call,
over
because
there.
after the soccer
Says it's in
tournament,
our
our
name,
dump
but
wasn't
if
until
it's
Thursday,
ever-
and it was overflowing on Monday, so I called and had an extra dump, come that day.
Is she gonna bring in these locks?
It's,
They will come lock it if I tell them to, I just didn't know if you wanted
What
it.
extra dump soccer would pay for that?
I don't know.
Moving there.
it says if it has to be dumped out of our
I mentioned it.
league, that a person will pay $28.25 per container to cover the cost of pickup of trash.
I know before, they used to have them come pick it up when the week was over.
Yeah, they did that my first couple years, because I had to have them come deliver it.
Right.
I usually call Holly or the other girl works there, and tell them what day we're starting practice, make sure it's
Right.
available
I think you want
as soon as we're
something
there.
Right.
Done.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have to take it out.
Right.
Then it'll fit on the ground.
See, this says the commission reserves the right to allow other renters or agreements to use the trash container in the matter of convenience or necessity for the price of $28.25 per container. The commission will be required to complete a pickup of trash from an event unaffiliated with Little League immediately after said event.
We might as well put it in our name then. That
Yeah.
just simplifies all that. Nothing against Darren, but just what she's reading out of the contract,
Right,
just cut all that
right.
out, it's just the parts and their funds they did, they pay.
We,
Only I don't go out and pick up the trash and give it in, I make them pick it up. It's in their agreement when they come to pay me to clean up.
Yeah.
the water company also bills us, but they're usually really good. They don't bill us out of season.
I think they turn you off.
I don't know, do they?
I think
the
they did,
bathrooms?
because
No, the
Do they-
bathrooms are on a different.
So this is just the concession stand and
I think so.
is there a hose?
Because we have one for the shower house bathroom.
Oh, okay. I say, because the water can probably stay in ours, because they usually don't
Yeah,
bill me, like, outside of the season.
right.
I don't really care if the trash is in ours, but, you know, during the season, as long as soccer uses it.
Do they, in off-season, do they charge you for that dumpster?
There was just an incident last year that after our season, it was dumped and billed to us that wasn't us.
Normally in all seasons,
not
it's a bill, right?
I mean, but if
Not
there's no,
normally.
if there's no garbage in it, they're still not charging you a monthly fee?
No,
for it to sit
no,
there?
we only get charged per dump,
Okay.
yes.
But when somebody comes and unloads the vehicle and fills it up,
Do they,
maybe what's your bill?
When they come to a
do you
game.
have to call them? I mean, do you call
They want
them?
to make an extra trip.
If it gets full, I'll have to
Well,
call.
some people I think do.
But normally they
Multitask.
just dump it once a week, Thursday morning.
We had it
they
scheduled on
check it?
Thursdays.
Thursday mornings they dump it.
Yeah. And there was a couple times, like when we did clean outs or there were tournaments or busy Saturday, if we had games all day Saturday, I have to call and schedule an early dump and,
Yeah.
you know, just because it's overflowing and we don't want to wait for more trash.
Soccer
It's-
tournament in October,
It's real
it'll
easy
fill up.
to, I usually call in the morning and they go that afternoon, they're real easy.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
So in your contract, you will pay for that, those dumps?
You said you'd worked it out to where he was gonna pay for it.
At the tournament, yeah.
I don't think there's anything in
Seeing
the
the spring
contract
tournament, I
about.
thought we'd have worked out with Michael Young to have that taken care of, but he's not. That was probably my oversight.
Well, you know, we still got charged for the dump, but in all reality, we probably should have said, hey, well, I think we talked about it was like, it's $27, I think, on the thing, $27.88. We weren't gonna say, hey, you owe us $27.88 for the window. But that one bill was not just $27.88.
Sally, are we billed the same way, just per dump? I just recommend somebody make a motion, put that in the commission's name, park commission.
Put the power and the trash dumpsters, both in our name?
Okay, I'll make that.
We
And
break it
then
down with the
invoice, that's what we
leases.
owe.
Excuse me?
And then this invoice, that's what we owe.
Right,
Yes.
for the months of your lease.
Yes, for
And the
both.
same for all organizations.
And that'd be easy.
Yeah, a lot easier.
Yeah, whether it's soccer or Little League or some outside entity, yes.
I'll make a
we'll
motion
bill
to
them
put those
accordingly.
bills in the, all right.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. All those against? Motion does carry.
Now, they'll
So
have to call to do
I was
that,
gonna say,
right?
yeah, you'll have to
Send their name.
call, tell them to
Probably.
take it out of your name, right?
So,
But if they just notify them to put in our name, that's
okay, so we're just, if I need anything signed, or I don't know how I've never done that before, so just
Yeah,
call and tell
I've done it
them,
before.
change the name and they'll contact you.
Michael will help you with
You?
that. Michael. I'm working customer service.
Okay.
Not my part.
Not hilarious.
Well, because I have all my card information and stuff on there, but
Right.
it's authorized.
How did you do it before, Eric?
When I called, I called and said I wanted to put in my name, so maybe Sal, or I don't know who would call.
And it has to be the person who's gonna incur the expense has to call.
Yeah.
I can call in the morning, find out.
Okay. Well, do you want me to give you a copy of an invoice and, you know, the account number, or,
Yeah.
because it's, when I
On
call,
the
it just
water,
automatically
or on
comes
the
in.
trash and the power both, if you would.
For both, okay.
Yes.
Is there a copier still here?
not here.
Not here?
I can take a picture of it.
Maybe
Well, we
take,
brought it
Sally,
over.
take a picture or something, maybe.
You want to take a picture of this?
I can do that.
Well, just do it.
That little league field.
Yeah.
Middle one. Where the kids go in, there's one gate right there with the home plate to go in.
That's what washing out of this every time.
We'll fix that, and we're gonna shut that gate, and we'll put 2 gates at the end of the, each dugout.
That makes sense.
Now we don't have a foot traffic during all of it.
So it'll,
And all the water comes at one point before it's all dirt, like, so we'll block it off, mile build around there like you done with the drain pipe under.
yeah,
Catch that water and hook
get
it
it
up.
back on, backside.
Or not wash our dirt out.
That's good. Yeah, I noticed that the other day, I was looking at that.
But we, we put them gates at the other end, keep that foot traffic right there, we'll go.
Right, just slope it back, yeah, away from my track, yeah.
Okay, we good?
Nothing else?
We can come up with stuff. We've been stewing just for a little bit.
Volunteer umpires.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do what?
Volunteer umpires for next season.
We're gonna put you in like a shaded area where no one can see.
My son got it, he lost him.
Yeah, that's all we're blocking that stuff on. That's all we're putting that net
He
in.
lost him, you done lost him this year.
Yeah.
Gotta give them earplugs.
Done.
Your umpire's earplugs, you want a headset with somebody.
There you go.
Parents,
Well, they're terrible.
huh?
They're terrible.
They said they're parents.
They've always been terrible.
They just keep getting worse. I don't understand.
I think you should make them recite that little thing when they get there every time they go in that game.
I was just
He called a lot.
These are just kids. This is just a
Every time I ask
That'd be a good fundraiser.
you guys wanna do this, so next time I'm like, all right,
We good?
I'll give you a chance to
We
do it.
good?
Thank you guys, thank you.
And I'll text you or something. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Sally, do you want to
I see it. What have you done? What all have you done? Are you all done?
We did the financial report.
Now he's working.
Have you done approval from this or anything?
Yes. We're done with 5. I did have a question for Sandra though. How much of the field up here are we gonna be able to use?
I guess anything that's not fancy dirt.
Okay.
Because it's temporary fence.
We lost the field at grade school, because football's gonna football's on. I'm sorry, it's fall. We need extra field space up here.
I'd say what you do on that is you can get with Little League and you all walk at, and make sure you're not getting too close to their, I keep calling it fancy dirt, I don't call it.
Yeah.
Their infield, whatever. As long as you are, as close as you can get.
Mike was just here, he's on both boards.
Okay. As long as both parties agree. That's expensive. That's all I know about it. Fancy dirt. All right, sorry for my lateness. I'm told we're down to committee reports, we have none, so now the manager's report.
I wasn't ready. All right, we have had a busy month. We've put a bunch of new lights up. We've got 2 on each end of the pole barn, new lights beside the pole barn. One at the fair office, one on the dining hall, 2 on the street light, 1 on the back of shelter 1, and 1 at the 4-H building. We still have, I think, 3 more street lights to put up. We were thinking about putting a second one on the back of shelter 1, maybe. 1 at the garage, maybe 1 on the house down there. And then we still have those 2 for the entrance whenever that gets worked on. 4-H, I think, went very well with no real problems. Thank you, Amy. She was very easy to work with. There in the dining hall has been fixed. Fair has come and gone and everything went well with them. It seemed to be successful. We didn't have any major problems. a couple of stopped up commodes, and we handled that pretty well. We received the first quarter payment from the county commission on 7/14, and then we received, well, I put our share of the hotel motel tax, I don't know what you call that, on 7/25. The exterminator has came for the last treatment on this round for the house down there. We haven't seen any bugs for close to a month now. Work's slowly coming along on it, cleaning, painting, it'll be a while. We had to have our new to us truck worked on. Garrett will probably tell you what was stopped up on it. Something on the motor was stopped up.
I will.
You kind of will.
I can't remember right now, but anyways, yeah.
But anyway, they put drag links and bushings on it and then did an alignment. We got it back finally on the 27th.
That's the truck from the sheriff's department.
Yes. The city of Summersville, I guess I'm saying this right, donated the truck, bucket truck.
Yes.
Donated their old bucket truck to the park, which just tickles me to death. Because we always had to call bar at Christmas time and stuff like that. So now we can put up lights ourselves and trim trees, all kinds of stuff. So that was awesome. Commission purchased a new Massey Ferguson tractor with a bucket and a brush hog mower. It'll be stationed here for the park to use, and also Nicholas County Rails, 2 trails in the Richmond area will be using it from time to time, and that's pretty awesome. We've never had anything like that before. The pool, purchased with the grant money from the Mount Nebo Parade. We got 3 lifeguard umbrellas, a new head immobilizer and straps for their backboard, a rescue ring buoy, a new test kit for the water, new rope to divide where the water gets deeper. That hasn't been there for years, and the little floaty things that goes on it. And 3 new rescue tubes for the lifeguards. Most of it's coming so far. And then I just put a note on the end that's just my personal opinion, if that's okay. We wanted to extend our sincere thanks to Craig Chapman, Gary Roberts, and the DRC for helping to get everything ready for the fair. They come out and they mowed, and they mowed, and they mowed, and they mowed. The DRC's helped us move stuff and weed eat and all kinds of stuff. Once it's all cleaned up from the fair, almost everything will have been put back as it should be and clean. And you all can read that last part unless you want me to read it out loud.
I don't have one, so you have to read it, yes.
Okay, read it out loud. I just wanted to extend our sincere thanks. But most importantly, in all the years that I've been associated with the park, I've never seen as much help for this park as I have this year with the Nicholas County Commission. They've really stepped up and helped us make this park what it should be and continue to help making it what it can be. And we truly appreciate what you've done.
I promise I did not read that beforehand and tell her to read that, so.
No, this is all me.
He said, tell me again.
This is all me, because I'm telling you. With their help, this park is just growing and expanding, and it'll bring more money when things are fixed.
We're getting there.
We are getting there. A lot of hard work, and that's all I got. Didn't mean to embarrass you, but sorry.
Well, I hear a lot of good things about, people who go up here and walk and come by and say, somebody's working and they're doing a good job. So
we've got a good crew again and a good board, so.
We had a lot of people come during the fair that aren't normally here on a regular basis, and they just praised and praised and praised this park at how it has been upgraded and how good it looks and how clean it looks and how it feels like it used to.
I'll tell you one thing though I like to see right now. You come in the park up here and the tennis court there, you got 3 of them. There's 2 of them, it's good. But that fresh one right there is.
Yeah, me and my kids actually been playing some tennis up there.
Really?
The very first one, you can't get in with it at all.
Now either going to have to fix it or might be a good place to put basketball hoops or something.
Well, I've got a couple of requests. I don't know anything about this. You all might. For pickleball,
never heard of
which is
that.
like
I've heard of it,
Tennis?
but I don't know what it is.
I don't even.
I call it badminton on a larger scale, because that's what it is. I was.
It's what it resembles closest to.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty popular in some areas.
that's what I've heard.
It's fairly popular in some areas.
It's kind of
Pickleball
what
is. It doesn't
badminton,
require
ping pong would have if you would
back and forth,
merge it.
not even
Yeah,
as much.
yeah, very much.
Yeah.
So you could probably
Pretty
have
much.
several
It's
courts within
pickleball.
one tennis court, actually. But fun to play.
Well, that's what it's all
So maybe that's an
about.
option, have 2 tennis courts and 2 pickleball.
Yeah,
I think it's rare that you
Yeah, I
have
mean-
all 3 tennis courts.
yeah, that's, maybe,
Yeah, upgrade it, put some use to it.
but it, I mean, since they've got a, loader, or what did you give him?
It's got a bucket on it.
That, right above that tennis court there, what they need to dig that, because it drains from that off the hill or the
Right.
road. Goes down, that's what makes it wet.
Yeah. It's
They
like
need to
that
dig it.
asphalt.
So they just dig it.
Well, Sally, I'm gonna task you with investigating pickleball and see if that might be an opportunity. We could weigh our options on upgrading that
Gonna need
area
coaches
there.
there.
We have a windscreen for it, I promise, so we're gonna get up, it'll match that.
Looks like ping pong with tennis court.
What is it?
Okay.
Ping pong with a tennis court is what pickleball looks like.
Looks like ping pong was there.
Ping pong.
Large scale.
If we put that in, the board has to go have a tournament though.
Pickleball is a racket paddle sport that
Oh, I know what we're talking about.
it's several sports. 2 to 4 players use solid paddles and referee the hollow for ball and the net. Ball looks like a wiffle ball. Put 25 to 40 round balls.
How big of a court is it?
It looks like full tennis court.
Yeah, it just looks like a short tennis.
Is it full tennis court?
I don't think it's
The
pickleball.
lady said it was shorter,
Yeah.
It should
more
be
compact
digital.
than a regular tennis court.
Maybe the width is the same and the length is different.
And it has a kitchen. So she said as a kitchen. A kitchen, but it's just a little area up next to the
Is
net.
the
It's not
basketball,
in there.
is the basketball rim up?
Oh, okay.
They're not up yet, are they?
No.
Well,
There we go.
have they here?
Well, we got some monster glasses down there that we don't think we want to put up.
Yeah, they won't last. They got donated, but they
Yeah,
won't
it's
last.
just basically ping
I
pong.
thought they had metal courts.
We do. They need to be welded and
Send a line.
I just need to go up there and cram and look at them. One's up.
Yeah.
Just
Looks like you hurt your knuckles if you get it.
the one that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
It's not full. That's something Crandall and I can look at, because I think it will. Yeah. Just put some actual braces behind it where you'll hang on that thing all day rather than ripping out the back. It's actually attached to the frame.
Well, my day, you couldn't jump, everybody couldn't jump up. Couldn't get to it.
Host the state.
Now they all,
Yeah, stay pickleball.
Start it.
And ring cap.
Oh, Lord.
You can dress like a giant pickle, get up by the middle.
Gary's already
You're
agreed, so
taller,
he can do
you're
that.
taller, I'll be a short guy. Like a cucumber.
Pickleball, yeah, I'll take all.
it'd be a good new thing.
Oh, yeah. My 10 cents supposed to be popular.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
You will now.
I have.
I've heard of it.
I think something new would generate interest. You know what I mean? Show usage on the court and stuff like that.
I've heard of it, but I didn't know what it was.
Are we going to approve this part?
Do what?
Sorry, Sally. Yeah, is there a motion to approve the manager's report as presented?
Terry and
Tim? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, the motion does. Unfinished business. Anything other than the league?
When are they gonna start on the electrical stuff, the poles for the vendors?
That was not approved by the county commission. So I've got to go back and do a little more lobbying and hopefully we'll get that done soon. But that was tabled last week.
Target would be fall-ish. if?
Probably Golly Fest, but now we're probably getting ready to start pushing it because it won't even be approved potentially until after August 3rd. So it really is just looking for spring. Any other unfinished? New business? I really don't think I had any this time. Right then?
You'll think of something.
President's comments, I have none. Board comments?
Can we just make sure that in the minutes, it's noted our text vote for the truck repairs? That happened on the 14th of July, I think, so it wasn't in the last minutes.
We text out the invoice on the truck before we approve it.
Yeah, so we just make sure it's in the minutes.
Anything else? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn this regularly scheduled meeting of
No.
the Nicholas County? What?
Doug ain't gone.
What do you use, new business?
He just said,
Yeah. Mr. Gurley, you have the floor.
I have the floor now.
Sorry.
Well, Sally had approached me about possibly using the park facilities for a craft fair sometime this fall. We put on the one out at the lighthouse called the Mountain Made Makers Market. This was our second year for it. Our first year we had 49 vendors out of 52 show up. This year we had all 92 show up this year. We tossed the idea around about doing one in the fall, but never really settled on a place or facility to hold it at. Sally brought up the idea, said, why don't you do it at the park? So, and I guess she got back with me and said, you guys said that we needed to have 100 soft promises to come. That's not gonna happen on the first year either. That is an unrealistic number. We're more towards the 40 to 50 range, because a lot of these people that do solely handmade items, they're leery about taking their product to someplace new that does not have a track record. Our first year in 2020, we had roughly 3,000 to 3,500 people come through our two-day event. This year we were closer to the 5,000 mark of people coming through a two-day event. My first option is always the first of the month, because everybody has a little bit of money in their pocket the first of the month. Sally said that, and was looking towards something in October. So the first weekend in October would be September 30th and October 1st and 2nd. I'm not in favor of doing something on a Sunday, because your attendance is poor and it's a waste of your vendors' time to stay here and have to pay for another motel, lunch, whatever it is, if they only make $10 that day. You're better off to go home on Saturday. Our hours that we always kept, but the other ones was Friday was like noon to 8. And then Saturdays were like 9 or 10 to 6 or 7, depending on lighting and stuff like that. Most of your craft fairs that you go to around here, they shut down at 5 o'clock. What good is that? None, because the people that are out working, making money, that have that to come spend on your vendors, if they don't get off work till 5, they don't get home till 5:30, get cleaned up, take the kids out, everything is closed up and gone. So, but she said there's something already scheduled for the first weekend in October, so that would throw us to the second weekend in October, which would be the 7th and 8th. Again, the craft fair, and if you go to the one at the high school, I'm not knocking it. It's fine. It's a good event. Makes money for whatever they're raising it for. But whenever you start and bring in, and again, nothing wrong with it, the Cincy's, the 31, the paparazzis and stuff like that, that's a no-go. That's not a craft fair. Those people have not made that item. They don't have anything invested in that other than a little bit of money to buy that product, to bring it out, to set it up and sell it. All of our vendors that we have, everything they make is 100% handmade. They spend hours making their products, whether it be the soaps, jewelry, lotions, woodcraft items, metal work, anything along those lines. I mean, I like the idea of having something twice a year. Like I said, we've proven ourselves with the one at the lighthouse, and that's something that we will continue doing, and we always have that one the first weekend in June. Dave and Daphne, the new owners of the Summersville Lake Retreat and Lighthouse, have been wonderful to work with, so we will continue that one in late spring, early summer there. But it would be nice to have something leading into fall where we can have demonstrators come in. We've got a person interested in setting up making apple butter, and making it on site for 2 days. Some of this stuff that some of the younger generation has never seen. We were at Cedar Lakes to that craft fair over there, which it's all handmade over there as well. I can't say as I'm real impressed with that event because everything was so spread out. You had a tent here, a building here, and a tent here. So there was a lot of dead space. There was nothing. You kind of like run from here to here to here to here. So that's, organization is one thing where you keep the flow, keep everything uniform. You don't have to backtrack to go someplace else or anything like that. That's just me. I hate that. So I guess, the question to the park board is, what's your thoughts on it now that we have more of a realistic number for our first year? And what would the park bring to the table to have an event here versus nothing at all?
Who's having it? What organization, or
Well, the one at the lighthouse is called the Mountain Made Makers Market. It's hosted by a furniture company that is called G Squared Handworker. We have been on HGTV with the Property Brothers. We're in our 3rd season with them now. We do work with Mark Bowe from Barnwood Builders, and a couple different galleries around the country. Also have work in the Tamarack at Beckley. So, we've built a brand and built a following with that. So it would be in conjunction with the furniture company and, the Nicholas County Veterans Memorial Park, to put this on.
We stopped at the lighthouse when you were out there a month and a half ago. Me and my family, we enjoyed the walking through there. We did. Yeah.
So indoor and outdoor, or just outdoor, or just indoor?
Outdoor. Outdoor.
They have vendors. They usually have singers.
How you would set up here? Are you wanting to set up here? Have you figured that out? Which way?
I will say October 8th is when the soccer was going to have the tournament.
That's cool.
Correct.
So, and obviously, you know, we live in West Virginia. And unfortunately, the later we go into October, into November, you know, I don't like the cold weather to start with. I'm a desert rat, you know. It drops below 70, I get a chill. I mean, I spent years and years and years in Phoenix, Arizona, so my blood's really thin. So,
September be too early,
I don't think that September gives us enough time to do,
enough advertising.
you know, a lot of advertising, because this year we did advertising in the Pittsburgh market, the DC market, Charlotte market, Atlanta, not only West Virginia. But what was the cool thing about stretching advertising out that far, we've seen people from DC, we've seen people from Pittsburgh, we've seen them from Atlanta, we've seen them from Charlotte, you know, plus, you know, locals and people from all over West Virginia and that there. So
Now, you did the advertising yourself?
we did all the advertising ourselves.
Now, so then whenever they come set up a booth, who do they pay to come?
That would have to be something that we would have to work out, you know, amongst, you know, myself now and whoever else.
You think there's gonna be a conflict with space or parking or anything? Because they maybe have the foot.
How would you work it? I mean, would you just put a booth down the road or?
I think you would, ideally, you would line both sides of the road and utilize that, plus out into the grass.
Some, yeah.
You know, obviously, our goal would to be, we would shoot for 100 or 150 vendors. But, like I said, not having any track record of anything about the event, you're really gonna be pushing it to get 40 to 50. You know?
So do people pay to come
No.
in?
No. No,
So
that
you're-
has to be one of the craziest ideas, is charging somebody to come
Spend
to an
money.
event like that, to spend money.
So the income would only be the booths?
Be the booth fees.
Is that typically round-ish?
This year we upped ours to 75 because we were going for a little more higher end vendors. I think to start out, you know, a $50 to $75 vendor fee would be okay. I think 50 would be fine for crafts, 75 for food vendors. Because obviously you have to have some food because you're gonna have people here all day. Some of the vendors can't leave their spaces. So they have to go, you know, and buy food on site, you know. There's a tremendous amount of legwork that we've done. Since we started planning our first one for 2020, we have probably been to, I'm gonna say, 325 to 350 different shows, hand selecting people for our event. Because you'll have people email you and say, hey, I want to be a vendor at your event. Well, what do you sell? Send me some photos, send me your booth setup.
Sounds to me like you're gonna have 100 already. I mean, if you've already done that much, you're gonna have that.
Yeah, but this is a first year event for this.
Well, yeah, I know, but
You know, I
you have that
can bring our reputation from the Mountain Made
Right.
Makers Market and stuff like that to the table, but still yet, this is a first time event for
right,
this.
well, they trust you, I'd say.
You know, hopefully so, because
Right.
we try to treat our vendors, you know,
Right.
amazing. I mean, we have not made a profit off either event. We've actually went in the hole both times over it because the first year we opt to feed the vendors the first night. We had a dinner catered in from El Bandito from Oak Hill and fed the vendors Friday night because one thing, we weren't sure how well things were going to go, and we wanted to try and take one burden off our vendors' plates for that day. And that was what they were going to do for dinner that night. If they didn't sell anything that day, they're already out their booth fee. Now then they've got to go to the hotel, to the campground, whatever it is, drive all the way back home and worry about something to eat. So this year we wanted to do that again, but our funds did not allow us to do that because we had upwards of 100 vendors and our food budget was, we wanted to so bad, but we just couldn't, you know.
But how did it work out?
Everybody was everybody was great. You know, all the vendors were happy. The only thing that some of them come back and said was they did not like where there was more than one of the two types of things. But at the same token, and I'm sure everybody here is the same way, you could walk by 10 of the same kind of vendors and each one of us look at something and none of us like the same vendor. So you're pulling something from different ones. We try and stay with a maximum of 3 of the same thing. No more than that. You don't want to flood the field with it, but at the same token, you know,
Not everybody
somebody
has
has
to make money off the product.
Yes.
If you get more than 3, you don't.
Exactly.
I understand.
I think it's a good idea myself.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing. I just need to figure out, you know, who's gonna burden the advertisement and who's gonna oversee the booth locations and getting them in and setting them up.
Probably be a
We've done that
collaboration.
before. You know what I'm saying? That's, yeah.
Well, I mean, good thing is, I've already done it twice.
Right. Oh, yeah.
With success on both ends.
Would the
You know,
15th of October be too late?
That would be pushing it in my opinion, that would be pushing it because you're getting that much closer to Halloween. People's already got money invested in costumes and candy and stuff like that. You know, anything extra is kind of, kind of already allocated towards the middle to end of the
I mean,
month.
it would be awesome if you could have it at the same time with soccer tournament, but I don't think there's gonna be enough space for that. But that would be great for your foot traffic, because we only have 3,000 people in here for a soccer tournament.
Just can't get them in here.
Yeah, you can't get them in here.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool to have it at the same time.
I mean, where is the,
I mean, we could,
where's the soccer field at?
The big field where the fair is up here.
This little bit here, and we'll have 3 different smaller fields on the stadium that day.
So that's why I was kind of mentioning the stadium, parking lot and Pine Lodge. For closer for the vendors, for them to hook up to the power line, Pine Lodge.
That's not a bad idea.
But would Pine Lodge have enough power for that many?
I don't know.
Because your food vendors would be a problem over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the power into the announcer's booth and then power into the building.
Right.
But I don't know.
When you get so many people in here, I think it's hard to get, like, vehicles moving out.
Right, too much, not enough vehicle parking.
So the last weekend in September's, like the 24th and 25th, too soon?
It's the end of the month.
Yeah, but I don't, yeah.
I'm sure with the soccer tournament, there's no football games, right?
I mean, soccer tournament's much bigger than the softball tournament. It is a pretty big deal.
You're saying this is an outside deal? We couldn't like do all the cabins in the dining hall? Break them up in months?
I would rather not because those environments are so small and spread out and it requires going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, you know. I think it would be best to have things lined in orderly fashion.
The way you had that White House, it was good. It worked good. It filled the entire field in front of the White House. It filled that entire field.
When does the Armory and the high school start doing theirs?
At the White House. Yeah, and then they
I'd say end of November or something like that, December, sometime in there.
High school is usually the first weekend of December,
I'm parked at the side of the road.
so.
I mean, who knows if there'll be snow flying the 1st of November.
Yeah.
Probably not. The high school is usually the first weekend of December. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea, if we can work it out. I mean,
The food vendors that you had over there, did they have a fire or did they use generators?
There was only one that ran off a generator, and that thing was so loud.
Yeah.
It was like, we got to figure out something else
Right.
other than to do that, because,
Right.
I mean, who wants to listen to a generator run all day long?
Let's see if we can make them all in there.
See, the food vendors would be great for the soccer tournament or whatever it is, because, I mean,
We had to have food vendors come.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, is, they do that for fundraising on the side too.
They give a little bit of their proceeds back to us.
It'd be nice to pick a weekend where you could, make it a standing show, third
Yeah.
Saturday of October,
Run
second
every
Thursday.
year,
yeah,
annual thing.
yeah. You could lock it in already, people would know.
Are you saying, you're saying twice a year, does that include the one out in Mount Nebo or 2 here?
that includes one out in
And you do it in June?
June, the first weekend in June. Usually falls the second, third, and fourth, or something like that. So,
where do you live?
I live here in Summersville.
That's a valid point.
He's the contractor that redid the stage.
First month, everybody's saying,
Oh, okay. Well, good.
He's built a lot of furniture for the courthouse.
So the first weekend in October wouldn't work,
Softball park.
and
The next
your
weekend.
soccer tournament isn't until the 8th, is that what you said?
Yeah, the next weekend.
It's both weekends.
No, we just do the 8th on
Softball,
one day.
Softball is on.
Of course. It's a conundrum.
How many people does softball bring in?
I didn't see quite as many this last tournament as he used to have.
What about fall
Buy
soccer?
and have that foot
So
traffic.
We'll
I
have
think,
50 teams here, 3,000 people coming on.
Yeah. He's got a park there.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's a lot.
so he's all
That
still.
would be, that'd be like a monkey trying to screw a football right there. I mean, that would be,
Yeah, it's a lot.
that would be, that'd be a nightmare right there.
Anyway.
Not unless we went over to the,
if you wanted to do it with softball was done, you could.
Well, I was gonna say,
Tell
why couldn't
softball,
we
they
just,
had to park up this direction,
Give you the back of the park.
festival that.
The festival would have to have somebody at the gate like we did at the fair there.
Probably.
You'd have to govern that hard. Me and Gary know all about that now.
So you're experienced.
Good times.
Hold on now.
Okay, so board members might have to work.
Well,
That's what I said, so you're
That's right.
experienced.
Y'all want this, you gotta work for it.
volunteer, substitution. Well, would the first work?
that's what he
First
wanted.
weekend.
That's what
Yeah, the
it
30th and the first.
Yeah, that would be,
Priorities are, but.
that would be what I would shoot for, because, I mean, that's the first of the month, people's, you know.
Right,
they got-
I think that would be our best bet and just try to divide it up between Little League and, it's a big park.
Well, they have softball.
Yeah, there's softball tournament.
Do they use the little field that points towards the
He
barn?
uses all four fields.
Okay. I think it would be nice if you could circle this basically around the red barn. Have that under the shelter if people want it. You could just do that whole street. You could do the food vendors like you do the fair.
Yeah.
Use the amphitheater down there,
Yeah, absolutely.
use that bowl down there.
Absolutely. You might gravel the road, make it a little more walking friendly, wheelchair friendly.
Use underneath the pavilion at the Red Barn.
Yeah.
You could
That whole
put 30
circle
people
area
under
right
there.
Down through there, down through there.
All that.
Just basically have your food vendors along the road, that way. And then, softball can do their thing, you can have, park him in the field with the bingo shelter.
Yeah, food vendors would double up.
Yeah, they double
But
up.
it's softball tournament right here.
Does Legends currently bring in food vendors?
He just uses concessions.
Right, right.
I mean, there was quite a few people here, but I think we could just have them park this direction.
Yes, I do too.
Park in towards the pool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, around behind the stadium.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Starting towards the pool, keep going that way with them, and then we can
From the
do
gate
this.
down.
Right. I don't see why it wouldn't work.
That's your only option. I mean, I think it would work.
Yeah, because we don't necessarily need that field there yet, you know?
And then next year, you don't
maybe-
schedule this?
We can
Maybe,
even park
maybe
something.
next year, maybe year after,
Yeah.
you know, when you've got 200
Yeah.
vendors lined up, you know?
You don't have to schedule them. Schedule them the same weekend
Right.
after this.
See how it works?
Well, I mean, this way here, you at least get your feet wet, see what kind of taste it leaves in your mouth, and if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. You know, I mean, simple as that.
But true, it could be like Field of Dreams too.
Could be.
Build it and let it go.
Just like the pickleball.
Joey's on something.
Field pickleball. Pickleball turtle.
Yep.
Do we
Yeah, that's it.
do we need a motion?
Well, I think,
Do we want to do that?
I think that's good with the right setup. I guess my next question would be, I mean, do we need to establish a advertising budget ourselves? Is that something you handle? Because we'd have to help with it if it was on our side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care to lend what knowledge we have of the advertising, the marketing, all that there, you know. Like I said, we've already incurred the cost of advertising at one that we didn't make any money off of. So, you know, to say I've got, you know, $10,000 laying around for a marketing budget,
Right.
I don't, you know. But with that being said, you know, we've got good connections with, you know, the Charleston Gazette, you know, a couple of the TV stations, papers out of Pittsburgh and the ones like that. You know, I don't think we have to reach as far south as Atlanta and Charlotte, but, you know, Roanoke, Pittsburgh, DC, those are close enough for people to make a weekend trip and come if it's worthwhile, you know. But again, you know, I stress that, you know, if we do this, everything has to be handmade. There's no direct sales,
Right.
none of that, because that's just, you're cheating people that's their livelihood. They make the jewelry, they make the glassware, they, you know.
But you will be in charge of who comes.
Yes.
Right, okay. And you'll handle all that.
What do you just need a spot to go to, or do we have to help? I mean,
Help is always appreciated, you know, especially whenever it comes down to laying out the spaces and stuff like that and figuring out, you know, like electric vendors, you know, we only offer a certain number of those spaces. And then after that, you shut that down. There is no more, you know, just because it gets so expensive to have to buy, you know, 5,000 feet of extension cord to get power to 50 different people, you know, it's just, no. You know, you limit the electric spots to 15 max, plus your food vendors, you know, obviously they have to have electricity, so they're not counted into that.
So if we establish an advertising budget, with your expertise and copyright in the sense of, you know, what we would advertise and list of, you know, the papers and or groups we need to advertise to, and then the booth space charge would be a fundraiser for the park. I mean, is that what we're looking at, or I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out is.
That, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if we do, you know, if we pick something here in the park that desperately needs something that, you know, is within that budget of, you know, collecting the booth fees for, you know, 50 vendors. You know, you
Right.
get $2,500 or something. If there's something that's within that budget that we can take that money and put that to, I'm okay with that.
So do you have an opinion on that?
No.
You're acceptable with that? Because what I'm saying, I mean, I can live with that, I'm fine with that. I think we just need to establish a committee on that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, because I mean,
It's a lot
it's
of
not,
work.
it's a lot of work, but it's not when you get 2-3 people together and they can help Sally with that work.
And like, we already have lists of vendors and stuff, you know, I mean, we've got 200 probably, you know, that we've been in talk with, but a lot of those have conflicting things on that first weekend in June, you know, but some of those gave that up this year to come to ours from what they heard about the previous year.
Right.
So, I mean, who knows? I might be saying we have 50 and everybody I talk to says, oh, we're free that weekend, we'll be there, you know, and it might be 150, you know.
Do you have a recommended advertising budget?
I'm gonna say probably somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500 for an advertising budget.
So how much would this normally cost if you just leased that area to have it? What would something like that run, ish? Because he has all the points of contact, he knows how to run all this stuff, he knows how to do that. I mean, why not just, that's your baby.
Do we just
I mean, do it for a
rent
percentage
him,
of
but
both,
we
yes.
charge him for the, like, what buildings he's renting
Or
and,
the first year is some drastically reduced price or a percentage of booths or something like that. I mean, that would be a very simple.
And you charge the booths yourself, I mean, you charge them, do you? Now, do you charge them?
$50 a piece.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Then whatever, if there's a profit in that that rolls to your next event or next year or whatever the case is, and get some self-sustainability. I mean, other than that, you've got some people sitting around here just waiting, what do I do next, boss, what do I do next? You know, with regards to selecting vendors and where they set them up, and you've got the experience with that.
When you were saying advertising, what were you talking about? Like what kind of?
Well, he's talking about you advertising from Pittsburgh to how far south did you reckon? It wasn't Atlanta.
I wouldn't go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I would do, you know, Roanoke, Richmond, you know.
Like newspaper,
maybe
TV, radio,
Charlotte.
something like that?
Newspaper, radio, mostly. Great thing about it now is, you know, social media. You can advertise on there and
Right.
you know, I mean, there's a couple people that we're good friends with that have almost 1 million followers on
Facebook.
Instagram. So, I mean, once they start sharing it, there's, you know, like there's 1 million people it shows up in their feed, so, I mean, it's,
The park would make more if they worked with him, sharing the vendor stuff, than renting him the barn, shelter 1, shelter 2, and the stage.
How much is that?
380.
Yeah, so you're talking 380 versus.
It really seems like a committee and labor, right, on the backside of that. Do you have the resources to deal with that?
Do what?
Do you have the resources to deal with that if you're gonna work that aspect?
With what?
Helping him out and getting all that stuff set up and having to help him, or helping the day of?
I
and-
think so.
Well, the day of, we've already, essentially already have the crew on staff with the song, with the Lily, what is that, the Legends, I'm sorry. having their tournament. So, I mean, they could work with, I mean, basically that would take it to the size of the fair.
Pretty much.
Have the trash up
I
here,
mean,
trash down there.
Yeah, I
facilities
mean, we're
and stuff
not
like
here
that.
when the softball tournaments are on, we don't work. They handle all their stuff,
Oh, well, then, yeah.
so
You all wouldn't have much
we
longer.
wouldn't have, yeah, we just work with them.
But like, you know, always go in the night before, that would be on a Thursday evening, and lay off all the spaces, number them, make that map. That way when people show up, you have your name of who they are, you already have them a space number and go here, 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 here. They set their own stuff up, you don't have to do anything with that. You know, the electric vendors, we already usually have the extension cords already ran to their designated areas. All they gotta do is plug in what they do. Most of them, you know, they'll plug up a tart warmer, or, you know, they'll have a fan, or, you know, lighting or something, you know, but, I mean, most of them don't really, you know, don't draw anything at all. So, I mean, there's not, it's not like there's, they're actively making stuff on site where they're running saws and stuff like that, you know.
They just bring in their crafts that they've already made.
And so I guess for their discipline.
Maybe I should take a step back. Is this your proposal here? I mean, you know, we've all got our ideas, but I want to hear, you know, from you. Is this an event you want to come in the park, rent out and run, or you're saying you'll help the park run?
I think if we join forces and do it collectively, it makes it easier on everybody. And not that I'm gonna make anything off of it. If I sell a piece of furniture or something, great. If I don't, oh well. It's solely gonna benefit the park, the surrounding community, the hotels, the other campgrounds, whatever else that people come in and do while they're here. You know, plus, you know, whatever booth fees that we raise goes to help something here at the park.
So for us, if we front money for that, this is a partial reimbursement.
Now, what do you mean by that?
If you kick up money on advertising, then you get booths, you know, part of the booth money back, then that's either gonna be a partial or full reimbursement, right?
Well, I guess where I'm coming from is if we do the advertising and all that, then we just get the full booth amount. Is that acceptable? Give you a free booth.
He's doing all the work. He's sitting on this up calling people.
Yeah, Mark wanted to, yeah.
At that rate, I get two.
Right?
So moved.
Because I can't fit all my stuff anymore.
Right.
You know, I mean,
What's the reason?
You can have however many booths you want.
Pretty much, right? You're drawing a map, brother.
I'm just,
Yeah, I got 7.
I mean, it's one of those things, I mean, obviously, everybody likes to make money. I mean, who doesn't? You know, if you don't, there's something wrong with you. But at the same token, it's hard to sit back and see a town that wants to talk about doing this, and this, but yet there's never any action on this, and this. You know, so, I mean, if you can do something to put Summersville or Nicholas County on the map for a weekend, or 2 weekends a year.
Right.
I mean, we're helping everybody out at that point, you know, I mean, local restaurants, you know, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, Steve and Bruce would love to have their motels filled up for the weekend, you know, and some of the other, the local gas stations that their owners live here in town or around, so.
Well, everything, I mean, everything.
Right, everything.
It trickles down, you know, I mean.
Sure, it helps the community as well,
Yeah.
the local.
So I guess what my recommendation would be, and I know I'm kind of all over the place, is that for a 1-year commitment, the park board here consider forming a committee in conjunction with the G2 hand worker. We handled a advertisement budget as recommended by the board. We handled the booth income. And then next year, if that's something you all want to take over, I greatly welcome that, because that takes it away from us. Y'all can have a good time. But I think for the first year getting off the road, I mean, I can see putting in the work to prove the concept, and we can always reassess October 4th or whatever that is. Is that acceptable to you?
I'm okay with that.
What's the board?
I think that's acceptable. It's about the first year. So that works for everybody.
What do you, is that what you want? Is that,
I'm open to the idea of whatever. It's your guys' facility. I'm bringing to the table the list of vendors, already having done this twice and having, I think, I'm gonna say 85, 90% of the kinks worked out of it. Am I perfect at it? No. No, I think you could do this for the next 50 years and still learn something from it every single year as to what to do and what not to do.
oh yeah.
But, you've got to start somewhere. And, we started somewhere. In 2020, we decided we wanted to do it the first weekend in June. We didn't start advertising and seeking vendors until April. And we worked our butts off. We put 5,000 miles on a vehicle over the period of a couple of months, just solely going to different craft shows all over the state and different places and saying, hey, would you like to come be a part of this? And some of them look at you and be like, well, how many years has this been going on? What's the first one? Yeah, no, I don't think I'm not interested. And heard that 100 times. First year, I think they want to pass. They want to pass. And then you have other ones that are like, what weekend is it? Like, yeah, sure, sign me up. And email them the application and next thing you know, you've got 52, 49 of them showed up. The other ones had legitimate reasons. One had COVID, one dude had a heart attack. So you can't rightfully say, hey, you need to be here,
Yeah, most of them that do these craft shows, they are very particular. If you're not established, they don't want to put the time into them. They don't think you'll have anybody to come to the sale.
It's like me. I've had phone calls the last month and a half wanting me to come set up at different things, and it's like, tell me about your event, and then you start doing some research on it and stuff like that, and you're just like, I'm gonna have to pass, just for the simple fact that the clientele that I'm after is probably not going to show up at your event. So therefore, it's a waste of my money and my time and my weekend that I could go someplace else.
What do you want?
That's an open-ended question. I'll start out with 5 million.
I was gonna say, that's just a matter of setting the amount, right? The funding amount for advertising.
If that's acceptable, then yeah, we could talk about the budget.
If everybody's in agreement with the, moving forward on it all.
I'm just not trying to get all the pieces together and make it one motion, so yeah, we can talk about it all at once. What was the allotment of the hotel motel? Was it 33,000?
30.
30. I saw it in the commissioner's budget, so.
30, 60.
I put it in,
669.
30,669.
And that's up because, and for an explanation to the board, Airbnb was required to start collecting hotel motel taxes on behalf of their hosts because the hosts were not. And so that's why we get a large increase in those funds for the whole county. Of course, it's divided between the CVPs, the park, and other entities. So we have seen an increase in that fund that we have not previously had. money behind your vendors, or are you just putting money behind trying to get people in the park?
Just putting money in, trying to get people in the park. The vendors, that's a matter of sitting down, sending out a mass email saying, hey, we're having this event this day here. You interested, yes or no? Here's your application. Send it out, fill it in, you know. A lot of people, you have some of the old school ones that still want to handwrite a check and send it to you. Most people now are like, hey, can I just PayPal you and be over with, you know, or Venmo or whatever it is, you know, so. And then there you always add, you know, like either a $2.50 or a $5 processing fee on that if you use PayPal. You know, this is
Cover the chunk they take.
cover the chunk that they take. That way you're still after what you're getting.
Right.
So, but yeah, the advertising is solely on bringing awareness to the event, trying to draw in the foot traffic there so your vendors are happy and they'll come back. You gotta think, you know, we've become really good friends with the editor of the feature section of the Charleston Gazette Mail. So she usually runs ads for us in that section and even on the Sunday paper, you know, which reaches, I want to think it's like 88,000 people for the Gazette Mail, you know. Online readers are double that, I believe. That's just hard copy people. There's some even free agencies out there that do that, Loot Press being one of them, based out of Beckley. I don't know who their writer is, but they do a phenomenal job. I mean, the Dominion Post, we work with them, and you would think being that close to Morgantown and having access to college students and whatever else, good Lord, man, my 5-year-old could spell better than, you know, it was horrible. You know, is what it is, and then, you know, you always have the Chronicle that you know, run in. I don't know what their reader count is, do you know?
8,000.
8,000, and that's hard copies? What about online?
That's hard copy and online both.
And online both? So, you know, there's, you know, another 8,000, so you're already at over 100,000 readers right there just with 2 papers. So, I mean, you throw in the Dominion Post, throw in one out of Pittsburgh, the Registered Herald in Beckley, Richmond, Roanoke papers there, you're probably pushing 1 million readers, you know, that is potentially going to see that article saying, hey, this event's going on this weekend. You know, and if you stress in advertising enough the uniqueness, the handmade items, the demonstrations and stuff like that, you know, that's something nowadays that people are drawn to. And I mean, they'll go wherever, you know.
Did you have enough traffic at the lighthouse, like people coming in, for your vendors to be happy with what, you know, the sales they had?
Yeah.
I think you will be here too. A lot more, really.
Yeah, there was never any complaints from the vendors themselves as far as traffic flow. The only complaint that we had was, you know, some of them didn't like the fact that there was more than one of that there.
Yeah.
But if you go to Cedar Lakes and you wonder that over there, they put all the same ones under the same tent, for crying out loud.
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
You know,
It's fine.
I mean, with us, we try and space them out at least, you know, 2-3 rows apart. That way they're not within eyesight of one another. You know, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they were complaining about. You know, if there being 3 soap makers and you can stand at this one here and you can't see the other 2.
Yeah.
I mean, and you go to Cedar Lakes and they have 4 soap makers and they're all side by side one another. And it's like, and you want to complain about our event? Come on now. That's like they're doing.
A pretty good idea myself.
It's like I'm doing a show this weekend in Elkins. It's called the Augusta Heritage Festival. up there, and it's a jury craft show. You know, you have to, they convene a jury, you submit them pieces, they look at it and say, all right, you know, this is, you can come, you can't come, whatever, you know, like that, you know, I mean, are we gonna be that picky? Nah, I don't think you can on a first year event like that, you know, maybe 10 years down the road, you can probably get a little selective with some of your stuff, but I mean, we had, I can think of, 8 or 9 vendors off the top of my head right now that sold everything they had on day one and had to pack up and leave. They had nothing else. They brought all their stock they had with them, sold it all and left.
That's great.
You know?
Yeah, those are good.
And it was, we had a stipulation in the contract that you had to stay until end of hours the second day. If you left early, if it wasn't an emergency, if you left early, you will not be invited back to future events. Because that just starts a trickle effect. Garrett packs up and leaves. Other guy across the thing's like, he's leaving, I'm gonna leave too. The next thing you know, 3, 4 of them are going and you've got 2 hours left, you know, so no, that's a no-go as well.
What do you all think of an ad budget of 1,500 or 2,000?
I think it's a good number.
Because, I mean, we're looking at, you know, a good chance of at least 2,500, so I mean, at least we're safe. You know, hit the Chronicle, hit the Gazette, Register Herald, partner up with the Summersville CVB, try and get them to blast it out.
Put it at 2,000, and if it exceeds that, we can go to vote.
Okay.
That's fair.
Do what?
So my recommendation is to put it at 2,000 maximum, and if there's something that needs to exceed that, we can put it on the email or on the text thread and vote on it. Anything in excess of 2,000.
Okay, so what should we charge for the spots, 50 or 75?
Leave it up to that guy right there. He's got the experience with it.
You said 50 for everybody but food?
I think, you know, you do 50, either do 50 for crafts and 75 for food, or do 75 for crafts and do 100 for food. Because the food vendors are naturally going to make more of that.
Right.
Plus they're going to use more of the electricity. So, and your food vendors are more open and acceptable to a higher entry fee than your craft ones.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm okay with, you know.
65 for food.
What do you think?
Will they have access to power?
Well, that's what I'm saying, line them up with the red box and they'll have.
Okay, I didn't know how far down they had to go.
How many food vendors do you think you'd have?
I'm gonna say probably keep it at a max at like 5, you know, and not all the same things.
Right.
Do you have people for
loyal.
that?
I'm kind of loyal to Craig Clemens.
Okay, then yeah, that's what I was gonna recommend, help you with that.
Craig will set you up with
Yeah.
what you need
I'm
and
kinda
not double book.
Craig wasn't able to attend our event this year because he did the some biker fest they did in Charleston, and he did that one solely to get his foot in the door to do the regatta. So Craig's like, I hate to leave you high and dry, but you know, I'm gonna go. I'm like, that's fine. But we had the Sugar Wagon, Pigs and Pit barbecue out of Beckley.
If you get the bagel man, he's self-sufficient, he has his own power. He can run the little whisper fried turners he has.
Republic Roasting Coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an option for power if you have any issues with that. You can.
And we get Craig, because he'll bring his food trailer, the lemon, the kettle corn.
Get 3 in
You
1.
know, you're gonna get 3 in 1 right there with him, even though kettle corn and lemonade's not really a food group, but to some it may be, but.
Options.
Oh, most people think it is.
Yeah, yeah, like elf, candy corn, syrup, you know.
Right.
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of keep the food vendors, you know, you don't want 20 of them because they're never gonna make any money at that rate, you know. Keep it down simple 4 or 5.
And he'll book you a variety.
Call it good. Oh, yeah.
Plus you'll have a concession stand up that day, right? For the softball.
For the softball.
But they'll have options.
Any other concerns? So that being said,
So the crafters are gonna be what? The food vendors are 100?
food vendors are 75 and everybody else is 50.
Everybody else is 50.
That being said, we want to call this something?
We call the one out at the lighthouse, the Mountain Made Makers Market. I kind of thought, open to whatever, and I did a quick search for it online to make sure there wasn't anything else kind of called that, but I thought maybe the Mountain Lakes Makers Market, or, Mountain Lakes Market.
I like the Mountain Lakes Maker Market. I can't say it, but I like it. I can't.
I can't say it, but I like it.
No more park?
Well,
Or you could have
It
something
kind of
like
ties it together too, in a way.
Yeah, it does.
Mountain Makers in the Park or something.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That kind of is a combination.
what do you call it? The lighthouse?
Mountain Made Makers
Mountain Made.
Market.
Okay.
Because we try and source people from the Appalachian region,
Yeah.
so. And same thing with this here, we'll reach out to vendors from, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Kentucky, Maryland, the Appalachian region, not just specific to West Virginia, but, some of them will come different places, so.
You have a name?
No, if I'm repeating mountains, I can say it.
Well, I don't care about the name, so whatever you all want. What do you want for the name?
Like that.
Which one?
Mountain Lakes, Nature's Market.
What was it you said?
Mountain Makers in the Park.
That's a good combination of both.
Like that.
All right, I'm gonna take a vote. Mountain Lakes Member Market, raise your hand.
Makers
I'm
Market.
sorry, Mountain Lakes. Yeah, that one, raise your hand.
Which one is it?
Well, hold on a second. I like Makers Market, but I do kind of like incorporating the park in there somehow.
Okay.
But-
So then all those in favor of, what's your name,
I
Aaron?
forgot yours.
Mountain Makers in
Mountain
the
Makers
Park.
in the Park.
Mountain Makers in the Park.
Memorial Market, Maker Market, whatever.
What'd you say again, Aaron?
I can't keep up with that.
Nobody's keeping up with the right
Mountain Makers in the park?
Yeah.
Mountain
Well, we
Makers in
went
the-
to Chief
Mountain
Logan
Makers.
State Park
Yeah.
and they had a bluegrass thing and they called it Pickers in the Park. So I thought that was kind of
Makers in the
neat.
Park, I like
Mountain
that.
Makers
If you
in the
did
park.
something in the park, it wouldn't have to be.
Yeah.
We approve that by unanimous consent. Is there anybody against it? Very good, the name
Against what?
stand. We got one thing left.
Which one?
Mountain Makers in the
That's
Park.
easier to say. So we're Mountain Makers in the park.
In the park.
Mountain Makers in the Park.
Okay, so that being said, we have the need for a motion to have the first annual Mountain Makers in the Park event with a proposed budget of $2,000 for advertisement. The expenses will be $50 for craft and other vendors, $75 for the food vendors. This to be ran in conjunction with the Nicholas County Veterans Memorial Park and the G2 Handworker Organization. This does provide free spaces to G2 Handworker Organization. Anything else that I missed? That being said, is there a motion on to that effect? Motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll say.
Second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. That committee, is there anyone that wishes to serve on that committee before I appoint anyone else? Oh, come on now, everybody got excited till now.
I'll help.
Okay,
I'll help.
Mary Spencer, Aaron. I'll put myself on there. Jennifer, you have to help because you're from the fair. You like to be on the committee?
I was good with that. Let's slip right in there. Yes, he needs,
He's on
yeah,
the
he
committee
needs.
anyway.
He needs to have a big
Mary
day.
Spencer, Aaron, myself, Jennifer, Gary.
He's over here, just all over his chair, trying to
Gary.
get his hand up in the air.
Gary.
Joey's trying to get
He
him on
keeps
that.
slapping it
Joe,
out.
you raised my hand. It's all right, it's all right. That being said, the standing committee stands as follows: Mary Spencer, Aaron Bell, Gary Cole, Jennifer Kaufman, Gary Roberts. All right, we're done with that.
Now, what's it called again, for real?
Mountain Makers in the Park.
Mountain Makers in the Park.
You can
Yes.
say that one.
Yes, that's why he wants it, because he can.
That being said, is there a motion for adjournment?
Yes.
So moved. All right, seconded.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying
Wait,
aye.
wait. Do you want these? Speed bump.
Speed bumps. I don't know how much y'all for.
Oh, too expensive.
Propose it, we'll think about it for the next meeting.
Okay, yeah.
How much are they?
Cheapest one was 73.
$72.
This was 195 cents. And everybody's the same.
Okay, I'll task the board with driving through the park a couple times and seeing how many speed bumps you think we might need, and then we'll revisit that in August. 6, okay.
Lord, we all.
Motion's on the floor for adjournment. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.